Yes, sir. It's visible.
Very good. Okay, let's see if I'm sure people will start, but on the for the benefit of the people who have already joined, let us not wait and ask them to wait longer. So let me start with people who have come. How many of you are here into already working with maritime law? If you can in the chat, write.
So before we start, can we give a brief introduction about our
I
organization?
I
And
would suggest you do that once you are ready to start the show, because you want others also to go around seeing that
sure,
show
sir,
after
sure.
5 minutes. So whoever have already joined, let me have a chit chat with them so that they should not feel that they have not benefited for joining in time. So if you are ready to
Sure, sir.
start, then you can start that way. What do you prefer? What would you
Yes, sir.
prefer?
You can start. Like we'll wait for the more people, and at
Sure.
6,
So
then
meanwhile,
we'll
I'll just
start.
have a chit chat and we'll continue, and then we'll start after 5 minutes. Okay. So fine. In the chat box, if you can write who all are actually doing something in maritime law, whatever you are doing. If you can just write a one-liner, what you are doing in maritime law, if anything you're doing. Nobody.
So someone has raised hand.
I don't know, but I'm asking you to write in the chat box, each one of you. So Sakshi, you can start writing. What have you done in maritime law? Can you type it?
Sure, sir.
Yeah, and others also who are there. If you're anywhere concerned with maritime law, please write one-liner. What are you doing in maritime law, or what you have done in maritime law? I hope I can see the chat. Anyway, I'm not seeing many people typing. Maybe they are still. My first webinar is this. Very good. Very nice. Anybody else who has got any connection with maritime law or has done anything in maritime law? Akshat, working with maritime lawyers as a club correspondent. Wow, Akshat. Great. So, which club are you working with, Akshat? Sakshi, yeah. Sakshi was working along with me for some time. Acha, good. I have done research regarding South China Sea dispute. Praveen Kumar. Very nice. And what did you find? So, South China Sea, is it a vulnerable point, or it's okay to we have Chinese vessels hanging around there? Yeah, Akshat. Africa Marine Service. Good. Thank you so much, Praveen, for your views. So, anybody else who has got any connections with the maritime, or is doing maritime, or has done maritime? Anybody else? Or it is a brand new topic that we are talking about today? Okay, one more question. How many of you in this group are students or professionals? Professionals means you're already working. So, if you can just write student or professional, one word for you in the chat, all of you. Professional, professional, student. Okay, there are quite a few people, 26 people around. Yeah, Rohit, student, college student. Okay, thanks for letting me know, college student. Vidyarthi, so kind of you. Working on merchant ship as chief mate, Abhishek. Okay, student LLM in maritime law. Very good. Which college, Sneha? Which college are you? Right now, acha, Rigved. Okay, Swati. Okay, Swati, I think we are connected. Am I right? Yeah. TNDLU soil. Okay, very good. Yeah. I okay. Who else? Good. So a lot of people are here, students, and not many professionals are there. Good. If anybody else is there still to write, I would request you to write. Sunil Shetty sir. I hope you are reached Bangalore. Fairfield Institute of Technology and Management. Wow, very good. Okay, one word, one word that comes to your mind when you think of maritime law. One word. What is that one word, or maximum two? What comes to your mind when you think about maritime? Anyone? What is that one or two words that comes to your mind when you think of maritime? Sea. Very nice. Sea border protection. Well, that is for the Coast Guard to do. Dakshita. Shipping law. Very good. Who else? Who else? Come on. Easy means of trade and commerce. Marine. Sea law. Very good. Who else? Any two words that come to your mind when you think of maritime law? Private. Swati. Too long. Private international law. Shipping. Maritime claims. Protection and indemnity. Okay, very good. What else? What else comes to your mind when you think of maritime? Marine. Okay. Akshat. Protection, indemnity, and claims. Very good. What else? Law of sea. Very nice.
I think now we should start. Right,
Okay.
it's
Just
16
give me
already.
1 minute. Just give me 1 minute.
Okay, sir.
Environmental and international law. Very good. Okay. For me, the two words which come to my mind is the sea and the ship. That is what comes to me when I think of maritime law. And of course, there are many other areas which we will talk about during our presentation. But before that, let us allow Ms. Sakshi to introduce herself and her way legal, and allow me to thank her to give me this opportunity to be here. Yes, Sakshi, all yours.
Thank you, sir. First of all, good evening and a very warm welcome to all the attendees here. Thank you for joining us in the enlightening session on maritime law with Captain Rahul Verma. Before we move ahead to the session, I would like to present a brief about our organization, Way Legal. Way Legal, established in 2021, is a visionary think tank and act as a bridge between seasoned legal professionals and aspiring minds. Fostering a dynamic exchange of knowledge, our platform not only facilitates mentorship and career guidance but also serves as a hub of legal consultancy. Embarrassing the synergy of experience and ambitions, Way Legal stands as a beacon illuminating the path of legal community to thrive and evolve together. Today, we are privileged to have amongst us our guest of the webinar, Captain Rahul Verma. A former mariner is the visionary behind establishing Ali Maritimes and Legal Services, offering comprehensive maritime and legal solutions with 29 years of industry experience, including 13 at the sea and 16 in the senior management roles. Verma excels in implementing key industry standards and regulations. As a practicing lawyer in the Mumbai and Goa High Court, he leads AMLS alliances providing strategic direction. Mr. Verma specializes in consultancy for ship managements and logistics firms, ensuring compliance and contract vetting, claims and insurance management, crisis media handling, and staff mentoring. Recognized for his expertise, he frequently features in mentoring young talents. His role as senior non-key expert for the GIS International Service underscores his commitment to studying the Maritime Labour Convention in ASEAN countries under the e-read project. Mr. Verma Multifaceted career reflects a dedicated pursuit of excellence in maritime law. Now, we'll move forward to thanking Rotaract Club of Delhi Nexus, who is sponsoring our today's webinar. Now, we can move ahead with the webinar. We can have a question and answer session in the end of the webinar. So please keep your questions for that. Thank you, sir. We can move ahead.
Thank you so much, Sakshi. And I am sure there are quite a few people who already know me, and some of them will know me today. I am very well approachable, and I would love to see more and more people learn about maritime law because it's an upcoming field in India, though it is still not so well established, but it has got a lot of potential as we move ahead in life. So, without taking much time, and thank you for all who have come on this weekend, Saturday night, to attend this webinar, and I hope to make the best out of it. I would be happy to answer questions in all while I'm moving around also with the webinar. But due to the constraint of time of just about 1 hour plus or something, we will try to make sure that most of the questions we'll take in the end so that I can finish a short presentation and then continue the understanding what I have first, and then we can discuss your issues and doubts also. So I have made a short presentation regarding this topic before also, since I've delivered this topic to other people also and to other organizations. So I will just open that and we will take things ahead from there. So this is how I will just start sharing my screen. So all of you, Sakshi, can you confirm you can see my screen, the presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So I have been lucky that Sakshi has been my intern also for some time, and we had worked together on some areas of maritime law. However, since maritime law is not only the area which she would like to look into, so for the moment she is connected with me through my WhatsApp group, and I hope someday when she takes up maritime law more further as a career and a more important aspect, then we can connect again with her also.
Sure,
So
sir.
thank you so much. So this is how I am. I've been a captain of a ship also, but that was a pretty long time back till 2005. After that, I was working for a company and I've managed ships. I have managed people. I have managed ship recycling yards, ports, and helped people to establish companies. And during all this time, I had a lot of free time. So I studied law also. And I completed my law in 2018 to become a lawyer. For the moment, I am more of a non litigation lawyer. However, there are many cases which I take up and I appoint people and appoint lawyers in various places to assist me in the court. And I do more of non litigation work and more of an expert work in various matters. So, to begin with, what is maritime law in its nature? So, maritime law is also known as admiralty law, is a body of laws, conventions, and treaties that govern private maritime business and other nautical matters, such as shipping or offenses occurring on open water. International rules governing the use of the ocean and the seas are known as the law of the sea. So, admiralty law, maritime law are very synonymous words and they often mean practically the same. However, if you read the code, it is Admiralty law in India, what we call, which specifically talks about the laws of shipping, how to arrest and which ships can be arrested, and which disputes can be taken under Admiralty law. And there are certain doubts which people have that if there is a conflict between admiralty law and any other common law, which would prevail, and that was recently very well debated, and the judgment was that the Admiralty law, being a special law, a specific law for a specific trade, it will always have precedence if it is got any kind of dispute with the common law, any other code or any other common law which is prevalent. Maritime law governs private maritime question disputes or offences or other nautical matters. When you, again, the word nautical is a word which is meaning something concerned with shipping, something concerned with seas. So maritime, admiralty, nautical are all these similar words which you will come to know as you talk or you discuss about maritime law. In the most developed countries, the maritime law follows a separate code and is an independent jurisdiction from national laws. So, this very clearly defines that maritime law is a very independent law in a uh, national or international waters or international concerns also. So it is not that maritime law is considered as a part of any special code, but an independent vertical itself in law also. And I hope you are aware that in India, which are the places where maritime law can be practiced, or maritime law cases or admiralty law cases can be held. So before, it was only in Mumbai, Chennai, and Kolkata. But after 2017, now Ahmedabad Court, Cochin, and uh, also the Vizag, which is practiced in Hyderabad courts, and also in Bhubaneswar, where we have the maritime law bench and where the maritime law can be practiced. So there are special judges for that, and they specifically deal with maritime law and have maritime understanding also. The IMO is a very important organization in shipping, and it ensures that existing international maritime conventions are kept up to date and develop new agreements when the need arises. So, IMO is not a judicial body, but it is an organization which takes care of the maritime requirements, the SOLAS, the rules and regulations which are help to run the ships. And it is from here various laws and codes come out on the applicability of shipping law. And all the ships and the shipping companies will need to follow a lot of codes. Some of the prominent codes are SOLAS, MARPOL, ITC, International Tonnage Convention, then MLC, STCW, and all such similar codes are there, which are very important to run ships, and they give the international flavor where since the ships keep moving from one place to another, it is not possible for them to follow local laws in totality for simple jobs also. Thus there is a standard, there is a specific law which is codes which are there, which are followed by most of the shipping companies when they are moving around in the international waters. And when they go to a particular port, there might be some particular requirements in that port that they have to follow, but most of the laws which are followed are generic in nature for all the ships in that area. Maritime law governs many of the insurance claims relating to ships and cargo, civil matters between ship owners, seamen, passengers, and piracy. Piracy is a big debate these days. As you know, in the Red Sea area, a lot of issues are happening, and lot of people are affected, lot of ships are affected by it also. Maritime law regulates registration licenses, inspection procedures for ships and shipping contracts, maritime insurance and carriage of goods and passengers. Now, registration is what? Just like your car has got a registration plate. Similarly, the ships have got an IMO number and they are registered with some country so that they can fly the flag of that country. So that registration of a vessel is an important aspect also. There are various licenses that are required in order to run shipping. One of them common to seafarers is RPSL, Recruitment Placement License, which people who want to employ companies which want to employ seafarers on board need to have. And without that, you cannot employ people on board. Then there are other licenses like document of compliance, for which is required for a ship to manage, for a shipping company to manage ships. Inspection procedures for ships and shipping contracts. Now, shipping contracts means your charter parties, your various businesses that you do. For that also, there are various requirements which are covered under maritime law. Maritime insurance, of course, just like any other vehicle or asset, maritime insurance plays a very big part because they are talking about assets of 80, 90 million dollars, $100 million, which are moving around in water from one part to another and being managed by people. So there is a big business in maritime insurance also, which is there. And the carriage of goods and passengers. Of course, there are such huge ships which are carrying goods from one place to another, even at time of COVID, when the whole world was sitting in their home. It is the seafarers and the ships were the only ones which were moving around and still doing their job. And even during COVID, when you could enjoy all your fruits, all your vegetables, all your sauces, all your sweets, and all your luxuries, it was these ships which were carrying it one from place to another. The passenger ships, of course, are the ones which carry passengers as a luxury for the moment. A long time back, of course, passenger ships were very important for taking people from one place to another in international waters and local waters. But over a period of time, the paucity of time, the airlines have come up. So passengers, as such, traveling from one place to another for short distance is okay, but for longer distance, there are very few which do that. But it is more for luxury they do it. It is not exclusively rooted in the civil law system, although it includes substantial derivatives from it. Maritime law is one of the oldest laws which has come to practice, and you can see in various old literature also, maritime law has been defined and told that how people used to trade from one place to another. When people used to come from one land to another to exchange goods, when they used to be a time when the ship owner himself would be the master of the vessel, the captain of the vessel. The person, they would employ the crew, they employ the officers, they employ the agent, they have the cargo, and they move from one place to another. Over a period of time, things changed. And when the ship owners started having many ships, they started having captains on the ship to manage their ships also and started giving them some rights on how to deal with things. Even till the late 90s, the communication system was not so good. And often the masters had to take a lot of decisions without even having the shore people or the office people helping them to take decisions. But as the communication has been increasing, a lot more masters and the ships rely on the ship's uh, management company or the ownership company or the commercial people to seek advice on how to talk about it and what to tell when they are in some situation. The special jurisdiction of Admiralty has a maritime purpose different from common law. This is what I explained to you, that there are specific courtrooms where Admiralty law is practiced. There are special judges who are more aware about the Admiralty law, who preside over the cases. And it is a specific place where admiralty law is discussed only. And once the matter is no more concerned with admiralty and it could be of civil nature or some other nature, it may go to some other court. However, till the time you can prove it is a maritime requirement which needs to be fulfilled or admiralty law needs to be addressed, then we need to go to a specific bench, a specific court in Admiralty. So not all the courts all over India can accept Admiralty law. Only the seven of them which can accept it. It has a strong international aspect but may go independent changes in several countries. As I told you, most of the laws, most of the codes, most of the application is universal for all ships which are going all over the waters, international waters. However, there could be some areas of special interest in that port which way may have to be followed. For example, long time back in a place called Nigeria, there was a requirement that your seaman book, which a seafarer has, needs to be stamped and signed by the master when you come inside port. However, it was normal that a seaman book only had the entry of the person coming on board, the day and the port in which the person is joined, in which rank. Only when the person completed the contract was when we would write the date of sign off and the date and the sign by the master and the stamp, so that they close the whole entry of the person working on a ship. But they said no, we want it that it has to be signed and stamped irrespective of the fact that the person is leaving the ship or not. So this was a very small example which I gave, but some other places have much different examples. For example, there were a lot of European ports who insisted that you cannot burn heavy fuel with the fuel with more sulfur when you come to our ports. There were special regions made like Exa region where European regions were there, where they said because of the environment in which we are, because of the airflows which we have got, we do not want you to burn heavy fuel oil with sulfur content in that, and we want you to burn fuel which is much more cleaner. So without any international aspect, in that specific area when you go, you need to ensure that you are burning fuel which much less sulfur content in it, so that you do not have any problem when you get into the port. So small things like these can also be debated, and there can be heavy penalties over the people if they do not follow such regulations. Such international features are given serious consideration by admiralty courts. So even if there is a uniformity of law or for most of the ships which are traveling from one place to another, if you are not following a specific law of that port or that country, you can have very serious repercussions also. So lot of lawyers, lot of legal minds, lot of operational people use lot of their experience and understanding and knowledge to guide the master, guide the ships on how they should be following certain practices when they go to certain ports. The law of admiralty does not seek to achieve uniformity. The law of admiralty does not seek to achieve uniformity of process beyond the rudimentary element of procedurally fairness, since admiralty law is supposed to apply in all courts of the world. This is a bit of technical thing what we are trying to tell here, that the law of admiralty does not seek to achieve uniformity of process beyond the rudimentary element of procedural fairness, which means if you go from one port to another or one country to another, you may not have the same procedure that can be followed in the same country everywhere. So it is not that a particular system has been drawn that this is how the case will go in that country. For example, arrest of vessel. Not every country is very favorable for arrest of vessels. However, India is considered still a favorable place where ships can be arrested, because there are very clear guidelines on what procedures, on what areas a ship can be arrested, and what is the procedure to be followed so that the arrest can be done quickly. And there are proper courts and the proper legislation, proper procedures that can be followed. However, in a country like Qatar or country like Saudi Arabia or country like Bahrain, it's a very difficult task to still arrest a vessel, because they do not have proper guidance or full area of explaining on how a thing can be how a ship can be arrested in a much shorter time as expected, because ships need to move and they quickly finish their cargo. So we need to find ways and means to ensure that the courts understand what we are doing. So such kind of differences will be very easily available for us to consider. Maritime law draws as on many sources, and when there are no clear precedents in the law of the sea, admiralty just often look to the law prevailing on land. When you don't have a precedent, how do you go by? You go back to customary requirements. What are the customary ways in which people are doing? And when the customary requirements are there, or the practices which are followed in land, so if it is not written in the legislation how to go about something, a normal process of jurisprudence nor a process of fair trial is taken, and the law of prevailing land, customs of the prevailing land, can take precedence without if there are no clear case laws or clear issues which are being talked about in the courts out there. Maybe the courts have not even discussed lot of areas of admiralty law, and they may have to look back of judgments from other countries also to find out how the issue has been dealt with. So maritime law as such has got lot of international value. As you know, ships move from one place to another. Now I'll ask you something. For a ship, let's say there is one ship which is supposedly moving from India to Japan. What all can be different in that? One, first of all, there will be some owner of that vessel. That owner of the vessel can be from India, can be from anywhere in the world also. Secondly, the ship itself will have a flag. The flag of the vessel can be any of the countries which allow registration of a vessel. Third, the vessel can have a class, will have a class. If the vessel is classed, it can be the various societies which are available who have got independent offices in various countries. Fourth, the vessel will have crew. The crew can be from various countries: India, Sri Lanka, Philippines, Ukraine, all Bulgaria, Nigeria, Ghana. All these places have seafarers who are coming there, and they all can be from varied places. The ship can have any cargo, or maybe it can have various number of cargoes which are originating from various places of the world. The vessel can be chartered. That means it is hired for a certain trade or certain period of time. Again, people can be from various places who can be doing it. Then finally, there could be the port in which it is coming. It could be the port which is the registered or port of the vessel, or it can be any port in the world. The vessel may go and discharge in a place where there is no relationship with the vessel, but it is a totally a different place altogether. So there are almost eight different aspects or eight different jurisdictions that a ship can be subjected to, depending on what kind of agreement has come up into place. Obviously, you will cannot know all the aspects. So as we move ahead in maritime law, we'll understand what all areas are there in which maritime law is applicable, and how people can grow in those areas, or learn from now, or be familiar with them from now, so that they can grow their career in those areas also. Maritime law as a subject. It is a little known fact that a ship can be operated from one country, flagged for operation to another, then the crew from yet another nation. This makes the domain of maritime law more intricate yet exciting to pursue as a professional, what we discussed just now. Topics under the maritime law is extremely varied and challenging, which covers a huge range of subjects like salvage, collision liabilities, carriage of passengers, maritime pollution liabilities, freezing injunctions, ship arrest, towage contracts, limitation of liabilities, and maritime liens. Some of the words in this may be very new to you, and you may not be aware about them also. But as you start taking interest in maritime law, interest in maritime law, you will be very familiar with most of the words. For example, one word is maritime lien, the last word which is there. What is maritime lien? It is something like you are having a control, a lien, a, you have your rights on something if you are not paid for a particular service or a supply that you have made to that ship. A maritime lien can be over a ship or a cargo which is originating from that ship only. Maritime lien cannot be something which is beyond ship or its cargo. It cannot. You cannot go and say that I got a car which is on the road and I want to have a maritime lien on it. It has to have some connection with the ship. It has to have some connection with the cargo which is carried on that ship. For example, if a container is out and the container is way out of the container yard and it is on the truck, now after that you cannot say that I have got a maritime lien on it. I want to have a maritime lien on it. Till the time it is on the ship and it is not being discharged and not cleared into the container yards, till that time it is still a maritime property. So if you have given some service to that particular container or the cargo in that container or things like that, in certain situations, you can have a lien on the ship or lien on the cargo also. For anyone who has interest in shipping and the different legalities that ship needs to comply with on an international level, or those who are already working in the industry but wish to diversify into more challenging and fast-paced roles, then studying for LLM in maritime law may well be the answer. Working in maritime law is a very specialized subject, but one that is useful and diverse. There are few places in India now, few colleges rather, I should say, who are offering LLM courses in maritime law also. Now, it is a very niche subject, and you need a lot of dedication and lot of technical knowledge also to grasp if you really want to only get into maritime law cases. However, even the maritime law cases often finally lead into civil disputes, commercial disputes. So it is very important that you should be aware not only about the maritime law, but also the other general law areas which are required. You should be aware about the court proceedings, you should be aware about the civil law. And often people ask me that should we only do maritime law work? I normally don't advocate that you should only consider maritime law at the start of your career, because over a period of time, other branches of law are also there, which will be very much important. And you need to initially have a overall understanding of the legal system before you get into the niche maritime law subject. And all that knowledge also will be very useful when you come to maritime law. However, as you know that in the legal system also there are so many other areas where people are excelling. For example, taxation laws. Now maybe taxation law is not something which would be directly related to maritime law, but if you ask me, there are taxation issues of like in India, there is the tonnage calculation which happens, and the basis of tonnage calculation, there are a lot of tax exemptions which are given or taxes which are liable to you. So, as a maritime lawyer, you may also be interested in understanding the taxation of the ships and the cargo and things like that, but may not be interested in the other income tax issues or something like that. Similarly, if in maritime law, if there is a dispute about any supply or any services provided and the amounts which are originating in it, then you may be interested in knowing that what are the particular supplies. For example, bunker, the fuel which is supplied to a ship, you need to be aware that what are the taxations, what are the ways in which it is supplied, what are the other interested parties, what is a bunker delivery note BDN, what is the quality of the fuel that needs to be supplied. So a lot of such technical knowledge needs to be collected and understood before you can get into maritime law also. Similarly, if you are dealing with charter party issues, dealing with charter party issues, you should understand what type of cargo it is there. Is it is a perishable cargo, non-perishable cargo? If it is a project cargo, or what is the size, dimensions of the cargo, how the ships are loading. So some generic idea about those also would help you to frame the whole aspect of shipping when you get a case law and when you have to understand what exactly happened. Just studying the maritime law book or just studying the admiralty law will not be sufficient to become a good maritime lawyer. Some practical aspect knowledge of the shipping, how the shipping works, how the ports work, how the seafarers work, all this needs to be also gathered to become excellent in maritime law. So now we will come to the next aspect, which is opportunities in pursuing a maritime in career in maritime law. However, before that, I would like to just hear any specific generic questions or any specific feedback that you would want me to give before we continue further in discussing the specific opportunities and all. Anything that you would like to put in the chat box, so we give 2 minutes break for all of us, because I've been talking for a long time. Also, I need also a short break of 2 minutes just to get my vocal cords right. So if anything is there, please type it for me, what you would like me to discuss, or if you have any specific question which I can answer now in 2 minutes, and then we continue from there. Anyone, please? Or if anybody, I don't know if you can unmute yourself. If you would, any one person or somebody would like to unmute or talk also, I would be very happy.
Sir, I am Sarbojit Bosu and I am studying in KIT School of Law and I am presently in BLLB honors in second year. So, sir, I have a interest in criminal law and I have a interest in taking criminal law as my specialization. So, taking criminal law as a specialization and studying some maritime law and being also specialized in maritime law along with criminal law, is it possible, sir?
Why not? Give me
Sir,
a reason why not, then I will tell you why.
Sir, I have heard that maritime law is a. I am a second year student. I don't have so much knowledge, sir. Actually, I have heard that business law and other any other kind of law is totally different. And actually, maritime law is a part of business law.
Okay, see, what you are talking is your own capability of handling two different kind of laws. Okay, we are not talking here that can a person who's doing criminal law can do maritime law or not. We are talking you as a person, can you handle two separate identities of law, criminal law and maritime law together, and make
Yes.
it a career? Okay, what I will tell you is, as a person, for me, I have only concentrated on maritime law because I have practiced maritime issues for almost 18 years in office, and before that 13 years sailing. So I did not want to expand my horizon into criminal law, civil law, taxation, this and that and all. So I stuck to my expertise in maritime law. Even in maritime law, I realized that going to do litigation for me may not be the right thing. So I went into non-litigation work and I went into more expert work rather than more litigating work. For people like you who are in second year, third year, fourth year, for the moment, you should be having this broad spectrum of law. And you should not be looking at like this, like a clipper only on one direction in law right now. Maritime law, criminal law, all kind of law is something that you should just now grow with. You should keep learning, you should keep accepting. And as you keep increasing the number of years in law, you need to see which is the area which you can specialize, because you cannot handle all the laws together until and unless you are in a boutique firm where a lot of people are there. If you are individual, you'll have to find your niche. Maritime law is still not a bread and butter law for you. Depending on from where you are living, you will have to see, do you have an admiralty bench out here or not, or you have an admiralty court out there or not, and something like that you have to check. and then you have to decide that should I pursue this law or not. And moreover, as I told you, maritime law is something for which you need to have some more technical knowledge also to learn. And if you've had the time to do that, why not? Take keep maritime law as a specialized thing together with you. But for day-to-day work, criminal law, civil law, property law, taxation law, these are the things which are day-to-day coming to you. So you will have to decide as you move forward how you keep maritime law as one of the specialized subject to grow with over a period of time. Yeah. Okay.
So we have question in chat box from Darshan Gaming. Like he's asking, is IPC also applicable on maritime issues of maritime law?
Regarding scope of okay, IPC is okay. IPC, okay, depending on what situation which we are talking about. When you are going to arrest a vessel, when you are going to put a lien on the vessel, when you are talking of purely maritime work, then admiralty law prevails. Now there are situations in which the work on a ship or some other area may actually not be related to shipping as such itself. For example, if a person has a fight on a ship and the person goes and murders somebody, admiralty law does not talk about how you deal with that kind of a situation. So then we have to go back to the criminal law only to deal with it. Am I right? Correct? So
Yes.
depending on the work which is coming, that is how it is. Okay, there is another question is, and how far India complying? Okay, well, Swati, ship recycling is a very specialized subject, and India is complying with it. I am a consultant to various ship recycling firms. I have implemented the Hong Kong Convention in India also in the yards, and India is complying with most of the regulations which are there, and it is doing a very good job in trying to make sure green ship recycling happens in India. Ship recycling is a growing aspect in India, and people with understanding of ship recycling can also assist a lot of people. However, there are not many litigations which come in ship recycling, and it is more of compliances which are there rather than litigations in that. And we can separately discuss ship recycling as a topic at a later time. Dakshita Singh,
Dakshita.
what is that? Tell me, please.
Yeah,
Yes,
very
Dakshita.
good evening, sir.
Anji, good evening.
Yes, sir. So my question is regarding the South China Sea.
Uh,
As like most of us know that China clearly violates the provincial principle of exclusive economic zone by making out the nine dash lines over Vietnam, Taiwan, Philippines, etc. So how does an Indian maritime lawyer deals with this territorial conflict, as we recently found out the existence of ONGC in South China Sea?
okay. First of all, I am not an expert on South China Sea. However, I'll try to explain to you generically on what you have asked me. Your question is, what does a maritime lawyer do with this kind of a situation? Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, think in a much broader way and think that you are working for government of India. Now, if you are working for government of India, you need to find out how lawyers are impaneled in government of India to work out for their cases in the international court, because this case is not something that is being talked about in the Indian court or the Chinese court, but this is being discussed in the international court. Am I right? Or in the UN?
Yeah, correct. So in the UN, it is recently
It
being
is.
discussed.
So now, as a maritime lawyer, if you are representing, if you are selected or impaneled with the government of India, you may be asked to represent and do the research study and give your opinion as per the international laws, and maybe at some point of time represent India in the international court of laws. Am I right?
Yeah, all right, sir.
Thank you. Okay, fine.
So
Let's move on. Oh yeah, tell me, Sakshi.
yeah, so we can move to the presentation, and after that we'll have the Q&A session at the end.
Yeah, true, true, true. So now the thing is, are you still seeing my screen, by the way?
No, sir. Now it's
No,
not visible.
it is not. Let me put it back. Now we can see the screen. Can you see my screen again?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. So now we quickly go into the opportunities in pursuing a career in maritime law. Law firms. Obviously, there are not many law firms, but there are many law firms increasing now because of the number of courts which are now started practicing maritime law. So there are people having cargo cases, cargo disputes, ship disputes, customs disputes, um, seafarer disputes, and these kind of things which are there, which are law firms can take up, and you can become a part of a law firm to do such work. PNI clubs and shipping companies. PNI club is protection and indemnity clubs, which are mean that third party, they help to safeguard interest of the shipping lines, the cargo people, and cargo owners in case a third party liability comes up. For example, any cargo which is damaged, any seafarer is injured and they have to be taken ashore, or any pollution happens and the pollution. So, PNI Club is a group of ship owners who have come into together to pool in money, and they are kind of an insurance to the shipping companies owners to run their shipping business. So there are a lot of clubs which are there who have been employing lawyers, and they keep using them for the various legal work. Shipping companies, there are many shipping companies, especially the bigger ones, who have a lot of their issues depending on cargo like CMA, CGM, MSC, container ships. Then there are many companies which are buying ships, so they need people to make contracts, to vet their contracts on financing, on compliances, on what all will be the issues in which how the ship will be transferred, when the money will be transferred, typical contract law will be there. Then lot of charter parties are signed for running the ship commercially. For that also, there are people who are required to vet the charter parties. They are required to look up what are the various conditions in which the cargo will be loaded, discharged, what will be arbitration process, what will be the penalties, who will be corresponding. All those contract issues will come into play, and that is how the shipping companies also need often lawyers to help them run the business smoothly. Ports. In India, a lot of ports are coming up. Small ports, major ports, minor ports are coming up. Every port will have an issue. A ship will come, it might get in touch with the jetty, damage it, or damage its own some equipment, or they may have a issue on cargo, or some kind of other legal issues or documentary issues which might be there. In such all cases, port lawyers are there who often take up the cases on behalf of the port if it goes into litigation. So many, at least the major ports, have lawyers who are impaneled, or they are designated by the port authorities to case by case basis. And some ports have a permanent lawyer and legal cell which is sitting there and helping them to sort out such cases. Ministry of Shipping, what we were talking just now, Ministry of Shipping is employing lot of lawyers and who help them to draft the various rules, regulations, various circulars which come out from the shipping ministry. Also, such international cases like South China Sea and other such disputes of territorial waters or economic zones issues, or ships which are coming or not coming in those waters. If they get into international arbitration or international court, then you need people to represent in that also. Apart from that, the local customs issues, the custom and port regulations and port laws, those are also something which lawyers are required to help to frame. Professional advisors, of course, consulting is a major work in shipping. Lot of shipping companies which are usually smaller in size, lot of ports they require a lot of advisory in because maritime being such a specialized subject, not everybody is aware that how to go about it. So this is one area which I am very much into, where I am advising and giving a lot of professional advice to people who are carrying cargo, who are setting up ports, setting up their maritime business, who are planning to buy ships, and if they have any seafarer claims or things like that which are there, which need to be addressed. So I am helping people with my expert knowledge in such professional cases. Export and import companies, obviously so many documents are there to be made for an export and import of cargo. There are so many issues which keep coming on how the cargo was handled, what happened, and if, let's just say, the arbitration center, what have you discussed, where are you going to fight out if there is will be an issue, what will be the course of legal action which each of the parties can take in case there is a problem which happens, or how people will move ahead in that. Individual practice or law chamber, of course, any, there are few people only which I are presently looking at individual practices. As I see, most of the interns and associates which I have, they all or are looking to get into law firms for a very stable job, and rather than rig it out themselves in individual practices, as mostly the first generation lawyers and things like that. However, increasing work in maritime space because of reasons like ship arrest, cargo claims, P&I rated work, which provides excellent opportunities as you grow ahead and make good contacts with shipping companies, P&I, insurance, and people like that. What are the challenges of maritime law? There is limited workforce with expertise in maritime law. As you would understand, it is a lot of international in nature and also needs some technical knowledge of shipping to be developed before you can be good at maritime law. That is why people are not, and especially in India, for the moment, it is not so common that maritime law is taught or any shipping related matters are taught in colleges. And very few opportunities are there to intern or learn about maritime law still in India. And that is why this is a big challenge. Most of the law firms based out of coastal states practice in maritime law, thus leaving very little scope for individual experts. People in Madhya Pradesh which do not have a coast, or for the thing, if any other place like UP, Uttar Pradesh, or Bihar, which are not connected to port, it would be very rare that somebody would like to get into maritime law because there will be no cases of that coming in. However, still in lot of these ICDs, the internal container depots, the many container places where freight stations and things like that are there, which are also connected with maritime law, which are connected with logistics, are now new avenues for people in hinterlands also to make sure that they can study maritime law with a specialized interest in logistics, freight forwarding, cargo damages, container damages, and things like that also. Lack of law schools, institutes which offer maritime law as a specialization. I don't need to talk about that because there are very few schools, very few colleges which have good teachers, good lecturers who can explain these topics, or they are having this faculty or the number of students who want to learn about maritime law is still also not in such big numbers for them to have a special classes for them. Challenges from our neighboring states who, due to tweaked laws, are getting good share of maritime activities, especially ship recycling, especially example Pakistan and Bangladesh. The laws or environmental laws and such other issues are also prevalent in Pakistan and Bangladesh, but maybe they are still not so strict as we are in India. And that is why a lot of shipping activity does go to these places, and that is why they are something like a challenge to us, because they can tweak their laws in order to ensure that people may not want to come to India for ship recycling especially. And the better rates also given in some of these countries are a reason why Pakistan and Bangladesh may be preferred for certain people who may not be too compliant with international environmental laws. India is not considered a port nation even though provides good number of crew members. Owing to its strict laws, laws must be amended through confirming the international standards. If you would look up somewhere some data, you will hardly find any Indian ship owners are there. However, India has done great leaps and bounds in supplying people, in having ship management offices. India still does not have a PNI club of its own. It has one, but it is hardly working. And it has got hull and machinery and some other insurances for boats and all, but it is still a very challenging thing, and a very few people are offering, very few companies are offering that. So, still, India, even with such a big coastline, is not a major player in shipping as such, with ship owning or chartering or such things. It is still into a very nascent stage, and people are still growing their assets. And still, arbitration also of most maritime nature is happening in Singapore or Dubai or London and such places. And still, India is still trying to develop such areas of maritime arbitration also, in order to improve its presence in maritime world. How to go about maritime law while in law school? As I asked you before, a lot of you are from SIL students, so it would be good that if you study something about maritime, look up YouTube for various topics, the types of ship, what happens on a ship, contracts, cargo movement. Try to see and listen to them so that you can grow interest into them. It's a good field to be in. Attend seminars and workshops whenever it is possible, like the one you are attending right now. Pursue some online certification diploma courses also, if you feel that it is worth spending money and you have the time and inclination to study it and find out what you can do better with it over a period of time. Otherwise, avoid spending money if you just want to do for the heck of it. Write, if you once gain some knowledge, write some articles, write something about maritime law, share it with people, learn from others also. Pursue internships with law firms dealing with shipping laws, maritime laws, custom laws, port laws, and such areas of work. So that's very short and sweet with me, for you to give you some insight into the working of maritime and admiralty law. And if you have anything very specific to ask me, I am available here. I'm sure you can find me on LinkedIn and other places. If you type my name also, you can connect with me on that also, and I would be very happy to share my knowledge and my experiences with you to guide you and take things again. Regulation done by private players instead of government law, how it impacts maritime law, international law. Which kind of regulation private players you're talking? Private players don't make regulations, I think. They make consortiums and they have their business ways of working. They would not make any regulations, I think. So if you know any specific regulation, then please let me know. I can understand from that. Mr. Praveen Kumar, any specific thing that you can explain to me? Private players make consortiums and not, and then they would have some way of controlling the business. Anyway, any other question?
Yes, sir. We have some questions from our WhatsApp channel.
Anji,
Sir,
बोलिए.
like one student have asked, what are the key international conventions that govern maritime law and how they do impact the regulation of shipping activities globally?
There are four pillars of maritime law as conventions which we talk about normally. One is SOLAS, Safety of Life at Sea. The second is STCW, that is the training and convention for the competency of people who are going to work on board. The third is MARPOL, that is marine pollution. And the fourth is Maritime Labor Convention. These are the four which are for shipping companies. Apart from for ships and how to run ships effectively. Apart from this, there are many laws, many conventions, many codes like ITC code is there for tonnage measurement. Then there are other codes like HNS codes for dangerous cargo movement. There is bulk carrier code. There are many codes like this, and depending on which kind of work which you're talking about, we can talk about it. Apart from all this ship related, then there are charter parties which are there. Now, those are not conventions, those are not rules, but they are defined by the industry, that such rules and regulations should be followed while signing commercial aspects of it. Then they are controlled by players like BIMCO, which is there, Baltic Index, which is there. So they are there to define that how charter parties should be worked out so that trade can be in a proper and a legal manner without much trouble. So these are the ways in which the various laws and conventions govern shipping over a period of time.
Thank you, sir. Like anyone from the audience, do you want to ask any questions? Okay. If you
Anyway,
want to ask, just raise your hand, or you can type your question in the chat box. Apart from that, sir, we have another question from our
hmm.
WhatsApp. Can you provide insights into the jurisdictional challenges commonly faced in the maritime law cases, especially those involving multiple countries or regions?
As I had already told you that there were 8 or 9 different kind of parties which can be involved. So now the problem comes at which jurisdiction to be applied. But obviously we'll have to see what is the nature of dispute. For example, in Mauritius, there was a ship which had broken and it had spilled oil. So obviously the Mauritius law was applicable because they were the people who were more affected by that incident, and that is why the trial of the captain happened in Mauritius only. So now supposedly a seafarer is there who has got any problem, and a seafarer is there who is not able to get the rights, and his rights are again in jeopardy. Then depending first of all which is the flag of the vessel, the flag of the vessel will determine that what are the laws regulations which are being governed. Then it will be defined by the contract which the person has signed, which country, which laws govern that. If he is an Indian, he will be controlled by the RPSL laws if he has gone through an RPSL agent. If the other person is a Filipino and one Indian, they both have fought with each other, then what law will be applied in order to find out who's there? It will depend again on that also. So, depending on the situation, depending on the issues, it will be decided that what jurisdiction would apply.
Okay, sir. Do you have anyone have any questions? Please ask.
Anyway, thank you very much, all of you, for your patient listening. And it was great to, yeah, I'll just answer that question also. Just give me uh, this. And it was great listening to you also and interacting through your questions. And I will surely look forward for further such specific legal related issues which would be there. Okay, now we have one question here from Rahul Yadav. Can you share insight on what is happening in Red Sea, Gulf of Aden context with provision natural international which are available in private entity case, cargo damage, ship and state and to government themselves intervene in such kind of incident to protect shipping companies? Sir, कुछ case law बताओ under this law. Okay, first of all, what is happening in Red Sea is simple, that some organizations are making sure that they would go and attack on a ship for whatever political reasons that they have got. There's another problem which is happening on a ships is there are some people who go on the ship to hijack it, what is called piracy. Now, when piracy happens, it is only purely because of the commercial nature of that, and it is not because of any other nature, any political nature. However, there are other people who are involved only for political requirements also. Now, it will be very specific to what is happening in on particular kind of a ship. If some drone is coming and dropping some explosive on a ship, it is not for any commercial reasons. It is only for political reasons, and that needs to be addressed in a very different manner altogether. And when it comes to piracy, of course, this is dealt by the insurance, and insurance is the key player here. And you need to be very closely coordinated to follow guidelines of going into such areas and ensuring that you do not get fall into a prey to such a piracy, and have adequate cover, insurance cover, adequate security cover, and ISPS is there, that is the International Ship and Port Security Code, which needs to be followed, and some certain guidelines of ships getting into these waters need to be followed also. That is how it is. So there are no specific case laws which we are talking about in these areas, but there are specific ships which have undergone issues of hijacking and of pirate attacks, and they are all dealt with as a attack on shipping itself and not just a ship. So there is no case law as such where pirates have come into the court to discuss. No, no, I did not hijack. Oh, by mistake they thought it hijacked. It is not like that. So there are no as such case laws which I can be able to tell you as per this piracy or hijacking. It is simple negotiations to sort out the matter and avoid any problem for the ships to move and for the seafarers to move safely into these waters. That's how it is. Then does India has separate statute to govern maritime law, and if it is under what statute or acts? Yes, India does have a separate admiralty law code which was enacted in 2017. You can look up that also. Fine. So I'm sure there will be many more questions, many more inquiries, because I have tried to crunch in a lot of information for you people, and I hope it will develop some interest in you to learn maritime law also, and you can um find others also who there are many other people who are talking about it now, and I would be very happy to connect with you also, and if you have interest in maritime law, to help you learn about it. So that's all from my side now, and thank you, Sakshi, once again for helping me to interact with people and giving me this opportunity to interact with all of you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So, at the end of this valuable and amazing webinar, I would like to extend our deep gratitude to Mr. Verma on behalf of our audience and Way Legals. Your knowledge and experience you share today with our audience will be truly prove itself best in the field. Also, we are thankful to all the candidates for joining and being part of this wonderful webinar. I would request all of you to fill the feedback form in which we have dropped a link in chat to get your certificates for this webinar. So thank you so much all of you. Thank you, sir.
Bye. Thank you. See you.
So thank you.